So good Saturday. I hope everyone's having a good one. James is downstairs watching football, and I'm shortly going to join him. I don't know how much you can hear the background music. It was up too loud. I've actually got this really cool CD player that looks like an old fashioned turntable. Something weird has happened that proves that everything you order off Amazon is made in the same factory in China. I've got wall lights that you can't really see in my videos that when I started the CD player, popped on the wall lights, the remote for the wall lights turned off the CD player. So all this stuff's made the same. They're all the same remotes. It's all the same stuff in the same factory. Anyway, that's not my point. The music in the background is the actual band named Thrice. They sound like heavy metal to me. That's not what my fictional version of Thrice, not only not the same decade, not the same style of music, because Thrice was 80s pop synth. Anyway, tonight, James and I are going to watch the original movie, The Crow, which I don't want to say it makes me angry that it got remade into utter garbage, but I'm very, indignant. First of all, it didn't need to be remade. And it's Brandon Lee's legacy. It should have just been left alone. Whoever was doing this Crow remake, which has nothing to do at all with the comic or the original movie, should have just done a sequel and named the two characters different names. And then it could just be taken for what it is. But as it is, it bombed in the box office. It had a horrible ending. And it's being dragged all over the planet. The people upset that it ever got made because it shouldn't have been made. Just my opinion, everybody's entitled to one. So the original Crow was, I believe, 1994. I can't really read. If you haven't seen this movie, you've missed out. This movie is not only a beautiful movie, visually stunning, pretty high tech looking for what they had at the time in the mid 90s, whatever technology they had at the time. A perfect Avenger movie that captured that time period so perfectly. So perfectly. It's like it was just screaming out what society was at the time. Obsessed with the cult, Satanism, the darkness, picking it up perfectly. Goth, grunge, perfectly picking it up. Didn't need to be remade. Brandon Lee was a badass actor. He acted all the emotions. It was like he went through all the emotions. He acted them perfectly. And not only that, with such of a dark, beginning, really brutal, dark beginning, and it just being dark all the way throughout, the little bits of humor, the humor, the jokes, that the new one, from what I understand, because I've only seen people review it on YouTube, all of that's lacking. Also, if it's supposed to be in Detroit, don't go film the remake in Europe because it looks like Europe. It doesn't look like Detroit at all. Now, granted, the original Crow looked more like Gotham than Detroit, and even more like Seattle than Detroit. But at least you could say it looks like it's in the freaking United States where it's supposed to be, not in Europe. Honestly, I don't get it. But anyway, movie number one, The Crow. Another movie that perfectly captured the time in which it was filmed. Falling Down with Michael Douglas. This movie was just tragic. Spoke as to the economic hardships of people, the joblessness, the overcrowding, the gangs, the Nazis, and a man who had been lied to, like we all have. We've all been lied to. If you work hard enough, you'll prosper. Lie. Rich people will prosper off of us. We don't prosper. We're all shoved that bill of capitalism goods our whole lives. And I don't think he started off in the beginning of the movie wanting to go unalive his family at the end of the day, but he was at his breaking point. And he had lost his job, he had lost his family. I think he and his wife were estranged. He was getting more and more like volatile as far as emotionally, from what I understand in this movie. I don't think he was ever physically dangerous until the end when he was going to go unalive his family. But a judge saw enough in his demeanor to order a restraining order between Michael Douglas's character and the character that's his ex-wife. And he's just trying to go home to see his daughter for her birthday party. And he turns on rogue vigilante. And while on one hand, I think he ended up being a bad guy at the end, on the other hand, I can totally relate to everything that he did. Things that people are sick of having to deal with when all they're trying to do is go to work, survive, mind their own business, and maybe have a little bit of enjoyment in their life. That's not asking for much, but so many people can't even have that. And I think that falling down is even more relevant today because the income disparity at this point in time is at an all-time gulf. When people can't even, who are working, are homeless. Working and homeless. Living in your car and having a job. I can't even imagine. And like I said, I'm just fortunate that James and I were able to get this house. We got a 2 years lease, so at least we got like a year and 3/4 left that we're secure in this house, assuming we'll always pay the rent. So I'm good with that. Because honestly, all the property management companies buying up all the affordable housing, houses and new housing not being built rapidly on purpose to drive up the prices of the houses and give more profits to the few construction companies we have left, was pretty much turned into a monopoly because of mergers and acquisitions. Isn't this stuff supposed to be illegal? It would have been illegal before Reagan. But since Reagan, we are more and more and more economically fucked. And this is what it speaks to. This movie speaks to that. I think it was 93 it came out. Maybe 92, 93. I don't really remember. But the early to mid-90s. So I encourage anybody who wants to see some good 90s stuff, maybe if you're a little bit younger and you've never seen these movies, to watch both these movies. Because you'll get something out of both of them. And mainly what you'll get is anger and rooting. Rooting for the underdog. And once again, holding it up correctly this time. This is only a paper copy because James works at a print shop. You can't buy this book except as a Kindle on Amazon, the KDP Kindle publishing book. But I encourage you to go find Thrice: A Peculiar Love Story and buy it. Only about 160 pages. It says it's a printable version. I don't know who would want to print it. Maybe somebody does. So it's not very long. Not difficult to read. I don't write particularly difficultly. And it's a really beautiful story. With a nice message and a nice ending. Contrary to the Primogenial, it was kind of a bittersweet ending. And then their ending of, they called her Morlock before the epilogue. So the actual ending, bittersweet ending. This one has a happy ending. And I whipped up as many tropes, because I used to try to avoid tropes, but all the good tropes are in it. So I hope everybody that buys it will actually review it for me so it doesn't go down immediately into obscurity. Everybody have a good day.